There's recently been a skills survey, right, that Xpatweb has also conducted, which has provided some details of the kind of positions that we need to fill, and if we're actually winning in that particular role. How is it that HR professionals are? What are those roles that are short, and how are HR professionals reacting and responding to fill the gap?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been running the survey for the last 5 years, and the latest one has been quite well timed in the fact that the Department of Home Affairs is a fantastic boost for the economy. It's a whole industry that has grown and grown and grown. So foreign language speakers are on there, and C-suite execs as well as senior financial positions. And this is typically because we have more and more multinational businesses, but we also have more and more South African businesses expanding into Africa and expanding internationally. So we see businesses more and more looking for C-suite execs or senior financial executives who have international experience and who know how to deal with a business who's moving across borders. So that's interesting to see. There's also, of course, sciences, actuarial sciences and other science professions that we struggle to recruit. So a broad spectrum of skills. Artisans, where we struggle to find artisans, not enough artisans to meet the demand. That's a rough summary of what the survey as well as the draft new critical skills list is indicating as the most in-demand occupation.
Interesting. Marisa, it might be a contentious question, but I guess how much of that list do we see, I guess, more females being featured on, more black South Africans being featured on? And is it a trend as well now for, South Africans of all races and colors who actually then choose to move to other countries?
It's not something that we measure in the survey, so definitely an interesting question. Every year we look at more and more parameters to add onto the survey. One of the items that we added this year for the first time was and this was based on feedback from the Department of Higher Education and Home Affairs when we presented the survey results. They raised the question, well, if you are saying that you need engineers, at what qualification level and at what experience level do you need them? ICT specialists, at what? So we started measuring that this year for the first time to see what level of education and across the board we're seeing that at least a postgraduate degree. It differs a bit from industry to industry and occupation to occupation, but they're looking for some kind of education level, and then experience is extremely highly regarded when organizations are recruiting for talent. The other demographics we haven't measured yet, but definitely something to consider for us to add onto this survey this year.
Oh, that would be exciting. I think really quite interesting as we see, I guess, younger generations and even older and different backgrounds participating in this particular event and opportunities that might be taking place abroad. But I guess as we start sharing some lessons with our audience, Marisa, of the critical skills gap that we have, you've mentioned that a lot of it is a wide variety of skills, from technology to critical leadership, C-suite executives, and specialized skills. This obviously tells us maybe I might not be a parent right now, but I am a cool aunt to many nephews and nieces. And I'm often intrigued as to what careers they might participate in future. And does this give us, I guess, an indication of the kind of skills that will be required in future and the kind of studies that children, youth, or even adults can actively participate in to make sure that they form part of that critical skills component?
I love that part of the survey, and it's definitely a big part of how we publish it every year, is to say that this is absolutely where you should be pursuing your career, the studies you should be pursuing, or if you are looking for career change or looking to study further, to reposition yourself within one of these occupational skills where you can where you will be in high demand, especially if you are just graduating, like you said. Consider carefully what you're going to study and study something where you're going to be in high demand. And when we look at the critical skills list, like I mentioned earlier on, if we look at international what is on the critical skills list in the UK versus Australia versus the US versus South Africa, it's all the exact same skills. So you will be not only highly sought after in South Africa, but internationally if you pick carefully. And I also think there's a lot of there's a trend towards complete career changes for the workforce going forward. You are seeing people that are highly skilled as engineers becoming specialized chefs because of the ability to use your skill set in a completely different industry.
That's
and
interesting.
there are many, many examples of that. And I think the critical skills list opens up the opportunity to see how can I apply the skills that I've already honed in this occupation and apply it to a completely new occupation in a creative and innovative way.
Sounds so interesting. Engineers moving into chefs. Interesting, right? But as you say, it's about the different skill set that we're able to develop and using your technical ability within the new spaces that people operate in. Marisa, thank you so much for your time and being so flexible with the depth of this conversation.